All right, so I'm working on our gingerbread cookies, and we're gonna make them a little spicier. So here is our orange zest. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon of orange zest. And now I'm gonna measure out the flour. I need 1 pound, 12 ounces of all-purpose flour. Now, usually I'm doing it the other way around. I'm converting from cups to ounces. This recipe, though, I have already in a weighted amount, and I wanna convert back to measuring cups because most people at home only have measuring cups. They don't always have a scale. So the best way we should have our recipes is in both measurements. So let's get that figured out. So our scale is tiered. We've pressed 0. So now the weight of the bowl is incorporated as 0. And we can start measuring. We need 1 pound, 12 ounces. So we're going to add the flour. And we're going to keep doing that until we get 1 pound, 12 ounces. Weight is a more exact measurement. So if you do have a scale at home, then the best way to measure it is by weight. And if you don't, then we'll use measuring cups. The way I prefer to use the measuring cup with flour, though, is to do the spoon method. You spoon the flour out of the bag, put it into the measuring cup, and then level it off. I find that if I just dip my measuring cup into the flour bag, that we don't get an accurate amount. So 1 pound, 12 ounces. So how many ounces are in 1 pound? A little math, everybody. Well, there's 16 ounces in 1 pound. So if we have 16 plus 12, that equals 28. So whoops, I got a little bit over. We need 28. All right, take that out. All right, we'll stick it right there. Now what we can do is, I said, the spoon method. So what I'll do is spoon all of this out and figure out how many cups it equals. We'll spoon it into here. So that way I can be accurate. Now, this is going to take a while, so I will do this off camera and then tell you how many cups it equals. So our flour ended up being 6.5 cups of flour. So I've written that down. I've got that all scaled out. I now have all of my seasonings measured. We're gonna add 1/4 teaspoon of black ground pepper and our 1 teaspoon of orange zest to make this a spicy gingerbread. And I did the light brown sugar. 8 ounces was 1 packed cup plus 2 tablespoons packed. 1 cup tightly packed. Plus 2 tablespoons. Capital T is tablespoon, lowercase t is teaspoon. So if you're ever writing it quickly, you just have to write capital T. All right, so now we can start making our gingerbread because I have everything measured out. So I have over here already, we have our stand mixer with the paddle attachment fitted, and our molasses, the vanilla, and our 2 eggs ready to go. Here is our butter, and this has been sitting out, so it's softened. So I can see, all right, so if you can squeeze it, then it's ready. So we're gonna add that in and then start paddling the butter. And we wanna make it soft and fluffy before we start adding any other ingredients. We don't want chunks of butter that's too cold. We want it warmed and soft and fluffy. So let's get that in. I'm gonna start, I've got this locked into place. I'm gonna start, and then we'll add this one. Got my spatula ready to go, so if we need to scrape down the sides of our bowl, we have that. Okay, now you can see it's stuck on the paddle, and this is why you need your spatula. You want to get that off there so it's not stuck on that. We're going to add the next stick of butter. Turn this back on. So that's going to take a couple minutes to get nice and soft. So I'm going to keep turning it off and getting the butter off the paddle as it mixes. So I'll come back in a minute or two and show you what it looks like. So the butter is now nice and soft, and I've added in our orange zest, and now I'm going to add in our dark brown sugar and let those mix in for a while. I like to add the zest in with the sugar because the zest is going to take quite a while to break up. You don't want any really large chunks of that zest, so I like to get it in there and have it start breaking up. So that was our 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. And we're gonna mix that in. Just gonna pulse it for a second to break it up. And then, now I like to get it really mixed in very well. So that will take a couple minutes and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. I have the butter mixing in with the sugar. So while we're doing that, I'm going to make sure I mix together all of my dry ingredients. So we have our salt, a half teaspoon of salt. We're going to mix that in. Then our 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Our 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Our 1 tablespoon of ground ginger. 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. A half teaspoon of ground cloves. Oh, it smells wonderful. Our 1 teaspoon of ground allspice, and our spicy kick, our 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And I'm just gonna stir all of this together, and that way when I add it into the machine, it's already been stirred together. We won't get any pockets of too much spice in any one cookie. And so that'll be nicely stirred together, and I can go check on my butter mixture. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it off. Again, you want to keep spatulaing, using the spatula to scrape down the sides of the bowl and the paddle. And you want to get everything completely mixed in and very well incorporated and light and fluffy. So we want it all mixed in. And let that keep going for a bit more. And then the next thing that we're going to add are the eggs, 1 at a time. So I have 2 eggs. We're going to add those 1 at a time. I've scraped down the side and the paddle, and now I'm going to add 1 egg, and we're going to add these in 1 at a time. All right, so that way we can get them completely incorporated. And you don't want to add the next egg until that one is completely mixed in. And then we'll scrape down the sides and the paddle again before we add that next egg. That egg is mixed in, and now I'm going to add in the next egg. And again, we got to keep stirring it until the eggs are completely incorporated. And then the next thing that we will add will be our vanilla extract. I added the vanilla, and our eggs are mixed in. I added the vanilla, and our eggs are mixed in, and now I'm going to start adding in our molasses. And I sprayed the measuring cup with Pam, or a nonstick cooking spray, before I added in the molasses, so that way it would easily come out and I could get every little bit in. And so I'll scrape that in with the rest of it in with the spatula, and then I'm going to mix all of that together, and when it's all incorporated, then we're going to add in our dry ingredients. So let me just lock this into place. I'll scrape the rest of it out in a second, but let me just start getting that mixed in. I've mixed in the molasses, so you can see it's nice and uniform now. The butter is whipped up nice and fluffy. Everything is incorporated, so now we're going to be able to add in our dry ingredients. I've added all of the flour, the dry ingredients, all of our seasonings, spices, and I'm going to pulse it on and off because I don't want it to go everywhere. Pulse it on and off. As it begins to mix in, I'm also going to use my spatula and scrape down the sides. This is a large batch of cookie dough for this machine, so just don't want to overwork it. It's probably the biggest batch you could fit in this machine. And just keep mixing it until it comes together as a cookie dough. As you can see, it's coming together. So I just want to scrape down the sides and the paddle attachment again. All right, once you see the dough has come together and it's pulling away from the sides, like a solid mass, then you know it's done and it's pretty good. So this is it. Here we go. It's looking great. Now I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna divide it into 4 batches and wrap them up.